I want to tell you about something I filmed on my phone that has stayed with me every day since. I was not supposed to be there. I had missed the last public tour of the Aldenmere forecourt by 20 minutes, and the attendant at the visitor gate had waved me through a side passage with a weary hand, telling me I could exit through the inner courtyard if I kept to the east wall and made no trouble. I kept to the east wall. I made no trouble, and I saw what I saw. It was just past 7 in the evening, the light going that cool, flat gray that falls over old stone in autumn, and the inner gate passage was almost empty. There is a post there. Most visitors never see it. A narrow ceremonial station set into the arch of the second gate, where the household guard stands at the passage between the outer courtyard and the inner precinct. Most evenings, the watch changes at 6:30. The incoming guardsman takes his post. The outgoing one marches off to barracks, and that is the rhythm, as it has been for longer than anyone currently living can remember. That night, the watch had changed. The new man had taken his position at the arch, and the old man had not left. He was standing 3 feet behind the new post, off to the right, pressed back against the stonework, as if he had no wish to crowd his successor or draw attention. He was in full dress, red tunic, tall bearskin, white gloves, the whole of it immaculate at the end of a 6-hour tour. And he was standing with his rifle at his side and his eyes fixed somewhere, in the middle distance, at nothing and at everything. I noticed him because he was so utterly still. The new guardsman, at the arch, occasionally shifted his weight by a fraction, the way men do when they have hours to go and their knees begin to remember it. The man behind him did not shift at all. He might have been carved from the same stone as the gate. I did not know why he was there. I raised my phone and began to record, the way you do when something in a scene tells you to, before your brain has worked out the reason. He stood there for 40 minutes while I sat on a low bench by the east wall, and the light continued to leave the courtyard. A handful of other visitors drifted through, gave him a glance, and moved on. Nobody spoke to him. I don't think anyone knew quite what to make of it. There was no performance in his stillness. He was not posturing. He was simply there, the way a stone is there, present, patient, entirely at home in the waiting. Then the official came. He came through the inner passage from the direction of the administrative wing, walking quickly with the particular energy of a man who has somewhere more important to be and resents every step of the detour. He was young, late 20s, I thought, in a dark suit that was very new and very well cut, and he had the look of someone recently appointed to a position with a title, several syllables long. He stopped when he saw the standing guard, frowned, and consulted something on his phone. Then he crossed the courtyard toward him. I kept filming. He had the clipped, certain delivery of a man who expects the world to reconfigure itself around his statements. The guard did not answer. His eyes did not move. The watch changed at 6:30. Your name is off the roster for this post. You need to return to barracks. Silence. The new guardsman at the arch stared straight ahead with the focused blankness of a man who had decided, wisely, that he was not part of this conversation. The official moved closer. This has an irregular posting. It hasn't been authorized. Do you understand what I'm telling you? I think the guard understood perfectly. I think he had understood every word the man had said, and a great deal that the man had not said, and had already decided that none of it required an answer. The official's voice went up a register. This is not optional. I represent the office of the Chamberlain, and I am instructing you to stand down. This kind of, he paused, searching for the word, this kind of sentimental display is not appropriate to the dignity of this household. It is not what this gate is for. I watched the guard's face in my phone screen. You could not have read anything in it. Not defiance, not contempt, not grief, nothing that could be named or used. He was a man doing what he had come to do, and the official was Weather. The young man stood there for a moment, uncertain for the first time, his authority hanging in the air unclaimed. He looked around the courtyard as if checking for witnesses, saw me on my bench, seemed to decide I didn't matter, and turned back to the guard. I will have you relieved by force if necessary, he said. This is your final, Mr. Carwell. The voice came from the far end of the passage. It was not loud. It didn't need to be. It had the kind of quietness that a room falls into of its own accord. The quietness that a certain kind of authority produces without effort, the way cold produces silence. The man who stepped into the courtyard wore the uniform of a regimental senior officer, and he walked the way men walk when they have spent long enough in the same institution that it has stopped being a place they go to and started being a thing they carry. He was past 60, white-haired, unhurried. He crossed to where the official stood and waited for the young man to face him. He did not look at the guard. He didn't need to. "I understand you have a concern about the posting," he said. "The man is off roster. He has no authorization to." "Corporal Haddon," the officer said, and this was to the official, not the guard. The guard had not been addressed and would not be, has kept a voluntary stand at this gate on the last evening of every outgoing senior sergeant's tenure for 22 years. It is a personal tribute. It has been observed and noted by this regiment for 22 years. Sergeant Fallow, who trained Corporal Haddon and 17 other men currently serving in this household, will be carried out of the East Passage for the final time tomorrow morning. Corporal Haddon will stand until he does. The official opened his mouth. "It is not," the officer continued, with the patience of a man reading something he has read many times to people who have not read it nearly enough, "a sentimental display. It is the regiment's memory of itself. It is the reasons the gate you walk through tonight still means what it means. Corporal Haddon has done nothing that requires your authorization, and nothing that will be stopped." He paused. "Do you have any further concerns about this posting?" The courtyard was very quiet. The new guardsman at the arch had the expression of a man maintaining his composure through an effort of will that would be spoken of warmly. Later, in barracks, the official said nothing. He straightened his jacket, the way men do when they are looking for something to do with their hands, and he walked back through the passage toward the administrative wing. He did not look back. The senior officer stood a moment longer. He turned and looked for the first time at Corporal Haddon. A single look, brief and level, the kind that needs no translation. Then he walked back the way he had come, and the courtyard was quiet again. I sat on my bench by the east wall. I kept filming, though I am not sure why, since nothing outwardly happened after that. The guard stood. The new man at the arch stood. The light in the courtyard went slowly from gray to black, and someone lit the old iron lanterns in the passage, and the stone took on that amber glow it gets when the night closes in properly. I stayed for another hour. There was something in watching him that made leaving feel wrong, the way walking out of a church mid-service feels wrong, even if you are not, especially religious. He was not performing anything. He was not waiting for an audience. He had been standing at that arch at the end of Sergeant Fallow's last night for 22 years, long before anyone ever thought to film it, and he would have stood through that night to dawn if every visitor in the courtyard had gone home, and every lantern in the passage had gone dark. The palace clock struck 5 in the morning. A detail emerged from the East Passage, quiet, formal, unhurried, and Sergeant Fallow was carried through, and Corporal Haddon came to attention and held it until the procession was out of sight. Then he stood easy, just fractionally. The shoulders dropped a quarter inch, the way a man's do when he has finished what he came to do. He turned and walked to the barracks entrance without looking back. I walked home through the gray, early morning, with the footage on my phone and the feeling I had been trusted, without being asked, with something I hadn't deserved to see. I have not shared the video. I am sharing this instead, because the video wouldn't have told you what mattered. The official wanted authorization. The regiment already had it. 22 years of it, pressed into the same stone, in the same posture, in the same gait. Some things don't need to be commanded to be kept.